This lesson I would like to introduce some gradients, and a gradient is just a way to kind of give some shadowing, two-toned effect. I'm going to change this. I already have a gradient on there, but let me change this to a solid color so I can show you how to do this. So I have, let's say I want this background to look like it's a sky. So this is a solid fill right now, but if I click on this button right here, it goes from black to gray, and it doesn't have a button hidden underneath it. Again, I'm in my advanced toolbar. So again, in a recent tutorial, we did go to toolbars and flip it to advanced so that I see my tools like this. But I'm going to select that gradient, and I can double click right on this object. Now the default is to go from a black to a white default, but I can change that, and I'll show you how. But before I show you how, there are several like little dots all over this little bar. So this one in the middle will increase the amount of the gray in the middle, so that changes that up a little bit. This one, if I click on the actual bar, I can move the bar where I want to move it. And then there's dots at the end. This one represents the black, and this one over here represents the white. And I can change my gradient with those as well. Now there's two small dots on either end, and if I move my mouse towards the edge, I get like a little half circle, and that allows me to tip the gradient in a different direction. So I want this to be a vertical, and so I just changed the gradient direction. So changing the color, changing some details about the gradient. I happen to have a gradient panel here, but if you don't have a panel for gradient, if you go to Window and come down to Gradient, you get a little panel here, and there's some default coloring in here. By default, it's white and black, but you can change the coloring. So this is the black, but if I click on the little bubble, I can change the color to a different color. And this, of course, the white, I can also click on the bubble and change the color of the bubble. If I want a more specific color, I can click on this little palette, and then I can like refine my color a little bit, or I can even come in here in the spectrum and select the color that I'm interested in. I'm going to switch this one here to be a little darker to make my gradient. And now that if this was a drawing that I was about to make, this could represent a sky. So I'm going to send this to the back because I had these other circles here, and I can apply a gradient to these circles as well. And there are different types of gradients. So the default is a linear gradient. There's a radial gradient, which you can see it's light in the middle and it goes out. And then there's a freeform. And in the freeform, I can arrange these to get the effect that I want to have. And I can add other points if I need to. I can delete them with a delete key. I'm interested back in the linear. I'm going to like a dark green and a light green. And I want the shadowing to be a little bit different. And if I stack these a little bit, I can start to have like a little bit of shadowing. So if I were making a tree, which I'm not, actually I'm going to flip the gradient around. So I had to click on my object. I clicked on the gradient button, and I'm going to switch this so that it's darker on top and lighter on the bottom. And apply the same gradient to this one, darker on top, lighter on the bottom. And this allows me to have a little bit more of a shadowing kind of look to my drawings. So the gradients help with a lot of control, and it just starts to make your drawings look a little bit better. And so that is a quick lesson on gradients.